Welcome to Marketing MASH, brought to you by themarketingscope.com.
Hi, this is Eric Vidal with The Marketing Scope. I got Jack Kozakowski, contributing writer here at The Marketing Scope, also the sales leader at The Creation Agency, which is traditionally a European agency that is now moved over the pond to the US.
Taking over, baby.
Congrats. Hey, we're doing a follow-up video based on a video we did recently about 4 reasons your sales team hates you and your marketing team. So let's flip it. Let's talk about some reasons or some reasons why marketing people hate the sales team. And
yeah, right.
There's quite a bit, but we'll name a few. I mean, I think the first one I've always heard, going back to when I was a young marketer, I used to hear the grumblings of other marketers, and they'd say, God damn it, they make so much more money that I saw that guy.
They drove up. I saw his car.
Yeah, and
they
so
got a Ferrari.
I would say, hey, they have a couple openings. If you want to make a run at it, go for it. But that's one.
But they don't see the stressful aspect to why they make that kind of money.
Speaking of stressful aspect of that side, Gordon Gekko said lunch is for wimps. He used a different word. I'm going to tell these guys about your lunch. He walked in here with a Circle K, that's like a 7-Eleven for the people who don't know what Circle K hot dog
Breakfast
and Gatorade,
baby.
And got me my lunch, a Gatorade. So only wimps do lunches, right? Unless
just because salespeople make a lot of money doesn't mean they don't eat at Circle K. You know what I'm saying?
They got to grind.
But money. I mean, I do believe that it would be smart to tie. We've talked about this pretty much every video because it's that important. But if marketing had the opportunity, if they produced, just like sales has to produce, if marketing had to produce and they could tie that to revenue, I think that you'd see marketers, and you're seeing it, making a lot more money, especially Martech marketers, because
Martech and the operations people and the lead gen people.
So if you want to be a marketer making sales type of money, I'm telling you right now, go figure out how to really use a marketing automation platform, and you will make 100K plus, because that's what that going rate is. So we've kind of squashed that argument.
Yeah. Well, okay. What are some of the other things that marketers hate about the sales folks?
Well, I have to say this, and I know I'm guilty of it. We do whine a lot, salespeople. I mean, if it's
complain, maybe complain.
It's never our fault. It's never our fault. It's always marketing's fault. So
or someone else's fault, right?
Yeah, I think that the number one complaint salespeople have when numbers are down is that marketing sucks, right? I mean, it's the easiest way, and a lot of times it might be true. In my mind in sales, I always think it's true. Even though I'm part marketer, so I've got a little bit more of a sensitive, side to the marketing piece. But I think that comes with education, right? I don't think a lot of salespeople understand marketing well enough to complain. So maybe it's time sales people did take a little bit of accountability and outside of your selling hours, do a little bit of marketing yourself, right?
Yeah.
Build a little personal brand.
And I think it was harder to do that 10 years ago. It's a little easier now with some of the tools out there and the social media vehicles.
There's no excuse not to.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I think it kind of goes back to, salespeople sometimes look at the marketers coming in at 9:15. They go, oh, are you kidding me? But on the other flip side, or marketers are looking at salespeople taking off at 2 o'clock. Well, if
no successful salesperson's taking off at 2 o'clock, I can tell you that right now.
I'm just saying, I've seen it.
I don't know.
I've seen it myself.
And don't be talking about yourself if you're.
No, I've seen it myself.
Maybe, yeah, he's talking about himself. Probably is my guess. But no successful salespeople leave at 2.
Okay.
Any successful salesperson. Any successful salesperson is working lots of hours. I don't care unless they've been somewhere.
Hold on. Remember the conversation. What are some of the things that marketers hate about salespeople?
Well, I'm arguing with a marketer right now, so I always crush the fluff. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Crush the fluff.
But okay, I get the argument, but I don't see that.
Well, what else?
I actually see the opposite. I actually see the opposite of marketers. Looking at salespeople that are actually leaving at 2, they're not putting in the work, right? And they're actually making marketers look bad because, they're letting leads go. Let's go into this one, right? So I think, one of the major complaints marketing has is that sales doesn't do the right follow-up, right? It's like, you give them all these leads, you go check, the CRM, and they haven't called them, they haven't emailed them, they haven't done anything, and marketing's working so hard to get this interest, and then you got the salespeople that are cherry picking, and a lot of times those are the best salespeople. Those are the ones that, and I'm guilty of this, right? I'm hitting quota. I know I'm going to crush quota. I've got a lot in the pipeline, and now all of a sudden, these new leads that I'm getting, they're not a priority. So marketing could be giving those to somebody else in sales that might need them, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I think marketing gets frustrated because the best salespeople get the most leads, and those leads go dry, and marketing's work just went array.
Yeah. I mean, here's one. So this was one of the things that I hated. And there's not a lot of things I hate about the sales team.
And I think we, don't
I've
take that word lightly, because we're having
fun with it. But I've always worked closely with them, so I've always been right there in the trenches with them, even going, trainings and going on sales calls and blah blah blah. But the one thing that used to frustrate me was, and one of my coworkers, the great Stu Schmidt, who ran our sales organization at a startup I was at a few years ago. Stu was fantastic because him and I, we used to cringe with salespeople they'd be sloppy with the data in Salesforce. And so you couldn't, they said I called the guy twice or I had 2 meetings. I don't see any of it in Salesforce. So the
laziness.
The laziness with the inputting and updating of the CRM.
Yeah, I think, that comes with education too. I think salespeople don't understand that in order to do effective marketing, you have to have effective data, right?
Yeah.
And clean data. And it's, that laziness and, the whole, we'll admit this, being from the sales side, that there's a little bit of arrogance, especially with better sales reps, saying, I'm doing things my way and that's the highway.
I'm killing it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know what though? It's easier to manage that when you have a smaller organization. When I was in this company I told you about with Stu Schmidt, formerly of WebEx and all these other great companies, we were able to manage it. Yeah. We got bought by a large company that had 450 sales reps. I mean, that's how I lost his hair. I mean, we couldn't manage the data.
That's not fair. It's just,
but
that's from old age.
It had finally unraveled after 8-9 months.
Well, I think that this is a lot of education because when I started doing marketing 2.5 years ago and kind of started just doing things on my own, right? Because I was selling marketing automation software to CMOs and I didn't know what marketing was, kind of dove into it. But one of the things I see on the flip side is that it's education. Like salespeople just don't understand that if they don't update the CRM or they don't update, the different technologies, that then marketing has nothing to effectively market to, right? Or they don't, marketing does. So essentially in the back end of all of this, what sales doesn't realize is that by being lazy or not, making it a priority, they're actually only hurting themselves in the long run.
Yeah.
And, not only are they hurting marketing, but they're really, because marketing doesn't have a quota. Sales is a quota. So if sales has to remember that they need marketing to give marketing as much as possible to be effective. And if they don't do that stuff, what happens in the end? They don't hit quota, and then they go back to the old excuse. It's marketing's fault, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is great. So, interested to hear some of the things that we might have missed, or some other things that make you cringe with the sales team and what they do. So please add your comments. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Marketing MASH. You can share your thoughts by following us on Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our podcast to keep up with the show. And of course, you can always find us by visiting themarketingscope.com.